following program is intended for mature audiences.
I'm going to be honest with you, bro.
I'm going to beat up John Cena.
Oh, it's a great idea.
So who the hell do you think you are?
I was going to dress up like Brutus the Barber Beefcake, cutting and a strutting, and then I was going to beat up John Cena. Wonderful. I mean, come on. What's more fun than beating up John Cena?
Suplex City, bitch.
Beat up John Cena!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
And welcome, everybody, once again to the weekly suplex. Almost went daily on that one. I am Brian Thomas, joined as always by Juice. And today we are joined once again by my good friend Jay. Jay, how you doing?
I'm doing good, fellas. Last time I was on, I didn't think I'd be able to make the Money in the Bank show, but that's because I can't read a calendar and had the dates wrong. So glad to be back on.
Well, there you go. And, of course, Juice, how you doing?
Pretty good. And, I like how you introduced him as your friend, and I was just Juice. But I digress.
You are the co-host, though,
You're the
man.
co-host,
so you get that moniker, yes.
I guess I'll take it.
A friend of the show.
I used to be PA contingent way back when.
That was years ago. Yes, you were PA contingent, and your partner who just doesn't seem to be ever available anymore.
He's a bum.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you go to nursing school and get a degree and have a job.
Yeah, he's a bum either way.
All right. Well, tonight we're going to talk about the two big events coming up this weekend. NXT Takeover in Chicago tomorrow night. And, of course, Sunday night's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Two big pay-per-views for the WWE, NXT. It should be fun. But before we get to that, we're just going to quickly skim through the Raw and SmackDown results because, let's face it, guys, these were awful shows this week.
Yeah, we've been treading water for a long time just to try to get to this Money in the Bank show. So thank God these last few weeks of TV are over and we can move on.
That's the truth. I will say that. So I'm just going to quick run through the results, and then we can talk a little bit about anything that was worthwhile, if there is anything. Otherwise, we'll just move on to the good stuff, which are the shows that are coming up this weekend. So on Raw, we saw Natalya defeat Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss, and Ember Moon in kind of a preview for the Money in the Bank ladder match. All the four women are in that match for the Raw side. Dolph and Drew defeated Breezango. Roman Reigns defeated Sunil Singh. The B-Team defeated Heath Slater and Rhino. Oh, how they have fallen. Seth Rollins ruined a Fender guitar, which was very, very disgusting to me. Ruby Riott defeated Bayley. No Way Jose defeated Kurt Hawkins. There was a really stupid obstacle course segment with Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley. And Braun Strowman defeated Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, and Bobby Roode. On the SmackDown side of things, we had Daniel Bryan defeating Shelton Benjamin in the first ever time they've wrestled together or against each other on SmackDown. Rusev, in his first match against Samoa Joe ever, defeated him. This was quite cool. The Miz was the special guest referee in this one. Jeff Hardy defeated Shinsuke Nakamura via DQ when Shinsuke gave him the old twig and berry shot. Might not felt so good. And then in the main event, which I thought was okay, you had all four ladies from the SmackDown brand in the Money in the Bank match facing against four ladies who didn't quite make it. Asuka, Becky, Naomi, Lana, and Charlotte defeated Carmella, Mandy, Sonya Deville, Peyton Royce, and Billie Kay. Those are the results of the two shows. Of the two shows, I would say SmackDown was a better show again. And really Raw just seems to be mailing it in the last couple weeks, and they did no different here. I said that I was quite offended and upset with the ruining of a nice custom Fender guitar. I don't care how cheap the Fender guitar was. It's a freaking Fender guitar. If you're going to ruin a guitar, make it one of those damn Mitchells that he keeps carrying around. Just saying.
You're such an elite guitar, connoisseur. I feel like it's unfair for them to break anything on there without you critiquing it.
Well, Mitchell guitars are cheap. They're like $100 a pop. They're not bad guitars. I have one hanging on my wall. But as far as a Fender goes, the cheapest one they got is probably $200, which is what that was. But it's still a Fender guitar, man. Don't ruin a Fender guitar.
That's true. You got to get one of those Slapnuts ones made.
All I can say about both these shows, guys, is that they were really easy to digest and fast forward on Hulu.
So
oh,
true.
what a bad week.
Well, yeah. And I think that we've said it over and over again, and I think it still stands true. The WWE is hurting from the fact that they had 6 weeks between the last pay-per-view they had and this one coming up this weekend, and they kind of blew their wad on the first couple weeks, and after that they just didn't know what to do. I think they had some plans, and they just didn't go through with them. So I don't know. And I think that what really, gets down here for me is that whole just slow build towards this Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn match that just seems weirder every week. Now we had an obstacle course to go through. I don't get it.
I thought American Ninja Warrior was after Raw.
Right? Exactly. Now, they're just having a typical everyday wrestling match at the pay-per-view, right? They haven't put any stipulation on it?
I don't believe so.
It's just a straight-up match.
That makes zero sense what they've done with all these weeks building it up.
Well, you hit it, Brian. It's 6 weeks in between, and thankfully the rest of the year, I think like 4 weeks, maybe 5 one time is as long as they got to go between stuff. So it's just the way the calendar worked this year, but hopefully they won't fall under that again next year, because that was the big problem.
Well, I don't think they will fall under it next year, because like going into WrestleMania this year, they had 2 shows per month from the brands, and then they decided to put them back together. And I think that's why we're seeing this big gulp between them, because really we should have had a show 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that, to kind of bridge the gap. But they took those shows out of the schedule and went with the dual combining. So this little break kind of just so happened to be there. So hopefully they learn from it and don't have such a huge gap between shows, because, man, the creative energy was just gone these last 3 weeks. Bad.
I agree. And again, we also talked about how they had that stretch of Greatest Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, all that stuff, UK tour all at once, and that threw them off too. Hopefully, we didn't really get to talk about this little part, but I hope next year when they do the Greatest Royal Rumble, because I assume that they're going to do it again, they made who knows how much money. I hope that they don't do it so close to WrestleMania. Maybe if you put it into where it can lead into something for SummerSlam, but just a couple weeks after WrestleMania, my God, I mean, these guys just built up for the big show, and then here we go across the world for another big show.
Yep. You got it right there. I mean, why they put it where they put it, I'm not sure. I guess maybe that's just how it worked out for the scheduling purposes. But I'm with you. I hope they put it maybe in between like a Money in the Bank and Extreme Rules next year to make it worth something, instead of just a silly green belt and a obviously really cheap trophy that broke when someone bumped into it. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It was odd. But we'll have to just wait and see. But, yeah, it's just been horrible. So I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view finally getting here so we can start on some new storylines after this show and
I agree.
Get moving to something else.
And it almost seems, again, because Money in the Bank has been such a almost Big Four pay-per-view now, it's almost like it's the Royal Rumble to get to your SummerSlam, which is WrestleMania. Like it's the same type of show. You build up some summer storylines. Hopefully, at least. So you advance some that have been there already, but you kind of maybe create some new ones. You get the briefcases involved, and that's always fun. It's been that way since 2005, and it's been a steady, consistent thing for WWE, and I hope they run with it. Now, the only other thing I was going to mention that I enjoyed from either show particularly was, of course, Kevin Owens doing a frog splash off that ladder. I thought that was a very insane spot for him to be pulling out on Raw, but it didn't even pay for him. So
yeah, especially considering the week prior, he was afraid to jump off the ladder.
Well, he had guys hold it this time, so
yeah. Well, okay.
Which I don't know how he trusted those guys, but he did.
Yeah, Kevin Owens is awesome, and I hope that they can start to use him better than they have been lately, because he is just a gem on the mic and in the ring. So you got to push guys like that. I don't get it, but anyway, let's move away from Raw and SmackDown, because nobody really cares and wants to talk about those, because we got two big shows coming up starting tomorrow evening, starting with NXT Takeover Chicago. What is this, the third Chicago show, or are we even farther than that?
I want to say it's the second, but I could be wrong. I know they did it last year.
Okay.
I'd have to do some research on that. I really don't know.
Okay, so it's NXT TakeOver Chicago. Jay here loves himself some NXT, so he's going to be our expert on this one, because I am a couple weeks behind on the show, which I'm sad to say. But we'll go through here. The first match we'll talk about is Ricochet, who joined WWE, I think about 2 or 3 months ago they announced the signing, and he's been awesome to watch. He's a guy that has a lot of indie cred on him, and I had never seen before until NXT, which is just a shame.
that is a damn shame. I got lucky enough to see him out in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla in California last year when he won the Battle of Los Angeles tournament for the second time, right as he was about to go to WWE. I think he signed later on, either that year, or I'm not real sure, but it was really not too long after that where he was lowering his indie bookings. And he is one of the most incredible performers I think you'll ever see in ring, and his promo skills aren't terrible. He's not just your generic spot monkey type of guy. Like, he's got a personality to him, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I like what he's done in NXT so far.
Yeah, and he's in a bind with the Velveteen Dream, who I remember when the Velveteen Dream started out as the Velveteen Dream, and it was just like, oh, what the hell are they doing? It was right around the time Prince died, so it was kind of like, wow, this is an odd way to kind of get Prince over on your show.
It's an homage.
But you know what? The guy can work. He's fantastic, and he embraced that gimmick hardcore, and I really enjoyed him. I saw him at NXT when they were here in St. Paul, and he was just awesome. I was pleasantly surprised when he came out with the gimmick of Prince in Minnesota, albeit, and he won over everyone in that crowd, and he's done great ever since. Every match I've seen of his has been spectacular. So the match that they teamed up against, what was it, Lars Sullivan, and Velveteen turned on Ricochet. Loved that match. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be probably a show stealer right here.
I think so too. And I'm waiting for the NXT expert to hop in here. I want to hear what he has to say.
Oh, look, the build up on this has been fantastic. I mean, these guys, not only, when they've gotten in the ring together, which they're both electric in there, but they're both good on the mic too. They're fun. They are, but they're a different kind of show. I mean, they are definitely not what you get a lot of on the main roster, but I think that's what makes them fun, because they are spot guys. I mean, you're going to get Spotomania in this one. I mean, it's going to be crazy. But the thing is, though, they tell good stories with it too. Like, it's one thing to be just a spot freak show. It's another thing not to be able to tell anything with it. And they built up real heat on each other throughout the feud. So I like them both. I mean, I think this is going to be a blast. And Ricochet, I didn't know of his indie work either until he got into the WWE. I heard people talking about it. I went and looked some of that up, and this guy's incredible. Velveteen's been great. This could be a fun. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't kick off the takeover with this, because it is going to be such a house burner. I mean, these guys are going to do everything.
I would agree, and like I said before, Ricochet, even as a high flyer, has that promo skill that not a lot of guys, can have both of those abilities, especially just becoming a WWE guy, like all of a sudden. Because on the indie scene, it's not imperative that you're great on the mic, but I mean, it's a skill that you have to have, or at least be decent enough to get to the next level. And like you had said, they have a story, but they build it in unique ways. I mean, if you watch the North American ladder match at the last Takeover, I think one of the biggest spots was Velveteen Dream doing almost like a Death Valley driver type move on Ricochet onto a ladder. And I mean, it looked like they were going to start something there. But the most impressive thing, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, when Velveteen Dream called out Ricochet, and Ricochet did a 450 and stuck the landing just to like answer the challenge on the rampway.
Oh yeah, no, it was
the
awesome.
Most unnecessary thing, but it was so incredible. Like, that's so different. You know, you'll never see that on the main roster.
No way you will. And it's not just the freak moves and everything like that. These guys are telling good story. They're making this is a TV show, right? So we know what's up. These guys are having fun and real heat on each other. And one of them says something, the other one answers it, and then they kind of one up each other. Not only with moves, but with trash too, with the way they talk. And I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be one of the more fun ones on a roster that, an NXT card that's got a lot of good matches on it.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of filler on Takeover.
No, and I think, like you said, I agree with you. I think this is going to be the first match on the show, and it's going to come out and it's going to just fire that crowd up. I mean, if you look at the card on the show, there's really not a bad match on the card. So any of the matches can do what they want them to do, but this is going to be the one I think they should start with, and I think it's going to be awesome.
And I think I agree with both of you guys. I think it should start, and this has been the reason. It's been a slight problem. It's a good enough problem that you would like to have if you're WWE. That NXT has always seemed to upstage the main roster show the next night, and yes. I think a big proponent of that is you look at the card. I don't care how many great matches you're going to have on Sunday night. Saturday night you have a tight 5-match, probably 2.5 hour card, and everything is going to deliver. And there's no filler at all. You get a 3-minute promo segment maybe for each match, but other than that, it is straight action, and it never ends. It's great.
Jeez, the thing you hit on there is the fact that it's under 4 hours. And that's the number reason that they upstage all this stuff. The only thing that's missing from this, and I just have to say this, Mauro Ranallo can't be there. He's got to do Showtime Boxing, and good on him to put it out on Twitter a few days ago, let everybody know, hey guys, this happens when you have 2 jobs, and the love on that guy is amazing. He puts this product over great, but I'll be honest with you, the card's so good. It's okay that he's not there. I just kind of hate that he's not there, particularly for one of these. But I understand it.
He brings so much of a realistic factor. He slightly like a JR, and the way he brings a realism to the shows. And I believe is it Vic Joseph that's going to get the call then?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, Vic, Percy, and Nigel are doing the show.
He's a guy. He's a guy that I think either he was from around here or he works with the guy that I do the podcast up here with Justin LeBar. He knows him quite well, so I'm glad to see that he's getting this exposure on the main stage.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've heard nothing but good things about Vic Joseph on calling matches too, so this should be fun as well. I'm with you though, Jay. Mauro Ranallo, when he was on SmackDown, made that show so much better just by calling the matches. And when he left, it was like, oh crap, just when things were getting really good, he's gone. But having him come back to NXT has been a breath of fresh air for NXT, I think.
It's like I was telling you before we started the show tonight, and Geese, I'll throw this to you. It's like the going from Brent Musburger in his heyday calling games to like the dead Joe Buck. That's what we have now, and you just wish Mauro could call the main stuff. But whatever, But anyway, this match, is it okay? I have to go in there, go ahead and get with the pick because I want to pick on this one. Hey man, look, this is one of those burn the rafters down kind of things. I think Ricochet's going over here though. Really, I think that's the logical thing, storyline wise and everything else, and I think it'll be 10 minutes of fire and fury, and I think they're going to give us a lot of fun stuff. But I like Ricochet here.
I do too. I think in a match like this where it's really obvious who the character is out of the 2 guys, and that Velveteen Dream is going to have that type of character going forward regardless of how the match goes, and he doesn't really necessarily need the win. He's been established. Now Ricochet has established himself, but he's not been proven as this is a singles match. He had that multi-man match where he shined in the ladder, but I think he picks up the win here, and both guys look strong in this match.
I'm going to agree with you. 3 for 3 on Ricochet here. The way that they built this up with Velveteen getting one up on Ricochet quite often, I think that just tells you that Ricochet is going to get his revenge and it's going to be good. So I'm excited for this match because I think Velveteen Dream, I really enjoy his stuff, and I'm excited to see more Ricochet because, like I said, I didn't get to see much of him before this, and I've loved every second of it. He's lived up to the hype people said he was going to do. Let's talk about the NXT Tag Team Championship match. The Undisputed Era will take on Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch in a match. Undisputed Era, when Bobby Fish went down, many people were really worried about that. But then with the turn of Roderick Strong. Why does that name escape me? With the return of Roderick Strong on
the last Takeover.
Correct. It was against Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne, yeah.
Yeah, Pete Dunne, yes. The names are going away from me. Was done really well and really sold it because up until then he had been totally against joining the group. He'd been fighting against the group, and then I love how they did it. They made him look like he was just frustrated with where he was and just said, this is my way to get back at things and join the group. Can't beat him, join him, right? And it was awesome. And I really liked his addition to the Undisputed Era. I think he's been a great addition to that group. So now just instead of just having Adam Cole be the main mouthpiece, you got Roderick Strong, who cuts a pretty good promo, I'd say, helping out build that relationship. And I'm looking forward to the time when it's Roderick Strong trying to take over the Undisputed Era from Adam Cole, because I think that's where they should go with it.
I think that's coming. Yeah, I think that is coming somewhere down the line. But right now, Undisputed Era is on top in this one. And, Burch and Lorcan got a win over them and have looked strong on top, which, when that happens, that usually means Champ's gonna roll. And I don't think they're ready to move UE out of anything major right now because they're so much fun. It's weird to see faction again. Like, factions are not something you get a ton of, particularly main roster anymore. But, Juice, you and I, growing up being the big WCW fans and Brian too, but Four Horsemen was it, man. I mean, that. Oh, yeah. And so I'm watching this and I'm going like, yeah, it's like the Horsemen, and I love it.
Even Paul Roma.
Yes, I would even take Paul Roma Horseman. So that is some weak ass Horseman, brother.
Yeah.
So,
but it's no different than in the early 80s WWE when you had the Heenan family, right? Or Jimmy Hart and his crew, and Slick and his group of people. Right? They were
even Attitude Era. Think about DX. You
DX,
had
the Hart Foundation.
You had Road Dogg, and you had Jesse James, and you had
Billy Gunn,
Mr. Ass,
Billy Gunn.
But you had Shawn, you had Triple H, and then you had Triple H and
China.
More Triple H and Triple H and more Triple H. But you see what I'm getting
Triple
at.
H didn't get there that far until Shawn left.
I know. I've seen Max,
and Triple H was more of a mainstay like that in Evolution, if anything, where he won every single match.
This is true. This is true. I'm doing a little bit of Max Landis on that. I agree, but I like faction, and for that reason, I think Undisputed Era is going to win this one. I think we get a good match though. I don't think this will be bad at all, but I think Undisputed Era will walk away, even if they don't win outright. I think they'll DQ their way out of this and hold on to the titles.
I agree. I think that's the type of champions that they are. They'll get out of it some way with the titles. And I agree. I think Roderick Strong going forward to maybe get against Adam Cole at some point, I think that'll be good. But these guys are on top, and I think it was almost like a blessing in disguise that you had Bobby Fish go down, because you had Roderick Strong in your back pocket as a guy who's been on the Indies, and he's been known to be with these guys this whole time. So it wasn't too shocking that he ended up turning, at least from my vantage point.
Right.
But again, I think Undisputed Era retains the titles here.
Well, and I think that you said it there too. If Bobby Fish doesn't go down, I don't know that this happens as fast as it did.
He might have a slow burn instead.
Yeah, but I think for Roderick Strong and even necessarily the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish injury actually helped them in a sense. And having him come back is going to be an interesting fact too, because now he is the tag team champion, right? He has the claim. They know they're doing kind of the little freebird rule with everything, but what happens when Fish is ready to go again? Does he get the title back, or does Roderick keep it with the other guy? I don't know.
Well, that's what you tune in for, Brian.
That's right. I'm picking Undisputed Era to retain as well. I think they'll win outright and get this match. Let's go to the Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross. I gotta say, guys, the Shayna Baszler character never really got my attention, but watching her over the last probably month or so, I actually really enjoyed it. I like the bully aspect of everything, the cocky attitude. I mean, she comes from the MMA world, so why not have her be that cocky, arrogant champ? And I've really enjoyed that. And just the way that the characters she's gone up against, Dakota Kai and a couple other people, and how they've kind of like gotten that scared look half the time. I think it's been great for her. And her championship reign hasn't been too bad so far.
Oh, look, she works really good, and it's gotten better and better. She's still working on the mic presence. I don't think she's found her voice at all, like how to really present yet. And I don't know, maybe they give her somebody to help her do that or something. But in the ring, she's kind of the tall Ronda Rousey. I mean, that's the kind of work she does. And that match with Dakota Kai, I didn't think much of. I thought this is going to be not that big of a deal. They ended up letting Dakota get in some good stuff on her, and she sold well. And that's the big thing. Like, it's one thing to have somebody that can just cruise through people and looks great doing it. Can they sell anything? Can they convince me that they're really in trouble? And this whole buildup with Nikki Cross, who's absolutely out of her gourd, and it's so much fun to watch. I think they call her NXT's little ball of chaos. And that's exactly what she is. And watching the way that Shayna has sold for her every time she comes out and just raises hell on her lets you know Baszler's really coming along. I mean, she's a very interesting performer. And still got a long way to go, but not bad at all.
I would agree. I've liked how the Shayna Baszler character has kind of grown into her own. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. She's doing what Ronda Rousey needs to be doing. She's getting her character over. She's getting good stuff in the ring. I thought her match at Takeover New Orleans was fantastic when she won the title off Ember Moon. And I think she's going to retain here against Nikki Cross.
Yeah. Jay, what do you got?
Oh yeah, she's going to win here. I mean, I think Cross will make her look good doing it, and I think Nikki's getting ready to move up to the main roster and join the Sanity, family again. So this is a good way for her to walk out and do that. But yeah, Baszler keeps the title.
Yeah, I got Shayna Baszler winning here too. I really like Nikki Cross. I'm surprised that you mentioned Sanity, who still hasn't really done anything yet on the main roster, even though they've been announced numerous times. But I don't know. I hope she doesn't quite go up yet. I'd like to see her get a little more seasoning as a singles outside of that group before rejoining. So who knows? But I'm picking Shayna Baszler as well. Let's go to the NXT Championship match. We got Aleister Black and Lars Sullivan here. Lars Sullivan, I believe, got the title shot for defeating Velveteen Dream and Ricochet. Is that correct, Jay?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right. So
he's been the big monster. We're just waiting for Vince to fall in love with him kind of guy. He's just that sort of prototypical. He's got the great body. He's a huge, just growling presence. He throws people through things. He's raw as hell. And I mean, really is good on the mic though, and has absolutely tortured Aleister Black, who has taken a ton of punishment from him. I think the latest was he slammed him on the announce table and held the belt over him, growling at him. So got a long way to go in terms of being ready to move on up and to the east side, as they would say. But man, it's going to be fun to watch Aleister Black get over on him. I think Aleister is going to win this one, and he's going to wind up making Sullivan look good to do it though, because both guys can look good in this. Sullivan's still raw, but it looked like a big challenge for a guy like Aleister Black to finally get over on him and beat him. So, and I can almost tell you the spot. He'll get him with that kick, because one of the big setups was he tried that and Sullivan caught it and then choke slammed him out of it. So look for that to be your finish.
Aleister Black has been a fantastic character for NXT since he debuted. I got to see him live in person. It was awesome. I didn't know much about him when I actually saw him for the first time live, and he blew me away. Just a phenomenal character, fantastic character. I've really enjoyed that. I was surprised actually that he was given the title last Takeover. I didn't think that was going to happen, but then of course they moved Cien Almas up to the main roster, so that makes sense there. So I'm with you. I don't see Lars Sullivan taking the belt here. I'll be curious to see how they end the match though. Lars Sullivan, you said it. He's a little green still. He's a big guy who's still got a little work to do, but they've been doing the right thing by putting him in with really good workers, and this will be no different. It's going to be an excellent way for them to put over Lars Sullivan as a monster and then keep the title on Aleister Black. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm with you. I got Aleister Black winning this as well and retaining the championship, but this isn't the last we see of Lars Sullivan going for the title. I think all he can do is really get better from here. He's a Braun Strowman down in NXT right now.
Indeed, and I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year, first of next year, they're not putting that on him. At this point, or they, what they may do, they may get the North American title off of Adam Cole at some point, put it on him. I don't know. That's possible. Their secondary belt now, and that's not a bad idea. He is definitely a guy that is going to be an up and comer. He keeps getting better. He's going to be good, but Aleister Black is just a ton of fun. And is such a good character. He's completely over. And these guys, I think this is going to be one of the longer matches of the night. I think Shayna Baszler and Nikki will go, a good time, but I think these two will put on a real show to stretch it out and will fill in a big chunk. Because it's been a good story. I mean, again, they've really done a good job building it up. So, so a lot of fun.
All right, and I'm not sure if anyone heard the hang up there, but Dan unfortunately had to jet. His dad is in a crisis right now. He needs to help him out. Nothing serious, just car problems that he needs help with. So Dan had to leave early. So Jay, glad you're here.
Who is this Dan?
Sorry,
that you
Juice.
Yeah, about?
Juice had to leave.
Yeah, Juice had to leave.
Stupid.
I don't know what his pick was. I bet Juice would be going Aleister Black as well. So
I'm sure he would.
Can we get to the big one though, man?
Because
I got things to talk about this, and I don't want to be Dave Meltzer on it or nothing, but I love this feud. So please.
Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa has been a highlight. I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago or last week about how awesome this has been over the long haul build.
It's the best feud in the company right now.
By far. Yeah. Johnny Gargano against his wife, Candice LeRae's judgment, has gone ahead and signed up for an unsanctioned fight with Tommaso Ciampa to try and end this once and for all. It's really cool because you see this going on. You see kind of in Impact Wrestling, they're kind of doing the same thing with Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. Not quite even close as good as this one's been done, but it's really funny the similarities between them using Eddie Edwards and his wife and Johnny Gargano and his wife. So it's kind of really funny. But NXT is about 7,000 times better than what Impact is doing. And this has been, like you said, Jay, the feud of the year and the feud of the whole company.
Well, yeah, it is. And the thing is, Brian, and again, it's not just the work, and that both of these guys can work their tails off, no doubt. It's the story. It's this takes me back to my days as like a young kid when I was still in kayfabe. I would buy, it was NWA, Dark. I mean, this was when I thought these guys were going to kill each other. And it's as much heat on two guys as I've seen in years. And Ciampa, I'll tell you when I knew that they had something special was before that Takeover New Orleans. He came out and got, F-bombed and just 5 minutes. I gave Roman all the credit in the world after he beat Taker for standing in the ring, taking that crap on Raw and going, my yard now, and walking out. Ciampa did the same thing after this, and it was great. And the other thing is, though, those two put on a killer match in New Orleans, and Gargano beat him. He had him in a submission hold, and he ended up using like part of a knee brace to pull his face back further. So it was just this incredible. Brutal, yeah. And now they're going to do the unsanctioned street fight thing, which is what AJ and Shinsuke should be doing, but can't because these guys are going to do it. And I got to tell you, man, I expect to see something really brutal, and I think Candice is going to get involved in this too.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Ciampa's going to lay the heat on both of them. There's no way. I don't think he goes down twice in a row here. I'll go ahead and give you my pick. I expect some Mortal Kombat fatality style stuff. I think Ciampa, wins this one, and it sets up the big comeback for part 3 at the end of the year for the last Takeover, because but I think Gargano, he'll give it up, and we talked about how well Baszler can sell and stuff like that. With Gargano can sell like crazy, and he's going to be selling all the pain he's about to take, because I think Ciampa's going over on this one.
Fascinating. I'm actually going
I
with
think it's
Johnny.
Empire Strikes Back style. Really? Okay.
I am. I'm going with Johnny Gargano. I think this is his match to win. But I would not be unhappy if Tommaso won and continue this for at least one more battle. I would not be unhappy with that. So I just think this has been a joy to watch. I don't want it to end. It's kind of like watching Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens fight over and over again. It just doesn't get old.
Well, and for you.
Oh, man, I could watch those two fight each other all the time. They're
I've
fantastic.
Seen it, so. They are good. You're right. When you get guys that have chemistry, they're not there yet, but like Flair and Steamboat put on shows for years.
Yeah.
And then they did it again like several years later, and it was still good on a crappy pay-per-view, too. But yeah, sometimes you just get the right chemistry with the people involved, and now you've got the wife too, so you got all the drama. I think it's gonna be fun, man. I really do, but I disagree with you. I don't think Ciampa goes down. I think he's got to get a win, because if he keeps losing, at some point the stakes just aren't there anymore. So he's got to. I think this is the one he goes over on.
All right, well, there you go. It's, I think, the only match we disagreed with on. So let's move on to Money in the Bank. We're actually running low on time here. We're at about 8 minutes to go. So we'll kind of quickly go through these and hit the big ones, because some of these, let's start with the pre-show match, the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Good Brothers. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Not really caring about this match at all. I'm not a big fan of the Bludgeon Brothers indestructibility, especially knowing that they're using the same names, and they sucked before this gimmick. I can't buy it.
Yeah, I can't either, but I think they win.
I do too. I think they'll win as well, which is sad, because I really like the team of Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns.
Hold on a minute. Can I jump in on this? I call this the nuclear heat match. It's will people actually cheer for Jinder? I want to tell you right now, I think Roman spears Mahal and the Singh brother.
Probably. He's going to win. Roman's definitely going to win this match. I do think the people will cheer Jinder Mahal before they're going to cheer Roman Reigns, which WWE's going to probably be crapping themselves over.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass, another match here. Big Cass has to win, doesn't he?
Conventional wisdom says yes, but I think that character's due a reboot, like a bad PC, and a good way to do that is have him go down to Daniel Bryan again. So you let him go down, you cut his hair, you just call him Colin Cassidy, and you reboot him.
That would be the wise choice. That's not what's going to happen. I'm picking Big Cass to win this match somehow, some way, because if he doesn't, then this whole thing's been worthless. Up next, Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn. This is where I go take a big crap.
Yep, Lashley in a squash, 30 seconds.
Yep, I don't expect it to last long either.
Please don't let him talk. Let him talk.
Please don't let him do much of anything. He's just not that good. IC title, Seth Rollins versus Elias. I actually am looking forward to this match.
Oh, I think this is going to be awesome. This one probably is going to open up the show if the women's ladder match doesn't, which is my other guess. But I think they might do this because Seth Rollins has been the burn the house down, open the show guy.
Yeah.
I've been leaning Elias on this, but honestly, I don't think they can take the strap off a guy as hot as Seth right now, especially with a crowded field at the Universal title, more that a bit. So I think we're going to get more of this. So I think Seth's going to find a way to get it done and win this.
Well, I think you're probably right, but I'm picking Elias in the hopes that they move Seth towards that Universal Championship instead. Elias is a phenomenal character for them, and his in-ring work has gotten much better over the last several months. I really like him, and I think what would get him over even better is having that belt. So I hope they give it to him. I'm going with him. I'm going to hope he gets it.
All right.
Raw Women's Championship, Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey. I think you know where I stand on this. I feel like Ronda's going to win by DQ when Natalya turns on her.
You stole my thunder. I think Rousey wins, but Jax is going to retain because I think Natty interferes and it sets up a good program for Rousey and Natty.
Absolutely.
Let's not keep the belt a little longer. So yeah, we agree.
Right. Perfect. SmackDown Women's Championship. Carmella takes on Asuka. Now, have you heard the rumors?
Yes, about James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth.
I'm just going to say I've been thinking Asuka all along until I got a little information, and I think now Mella gets out of this with a little help from her friend. That maybe she doesn't win, but I think she gets out of it.
Yeah, I have her winning this match with a little help from Mr. Ellsworth. Now, the logic would be, if WWE is logic, which they don't, would be James Ellsworth coming in and costing Carmella the match because she turned on him before he left. However, I think that he's going to help her out and keep that title on her. I just don't see them dropping the titles this quickly off of Carmella. It doesn't make sense to me. And you got to make Asuka look strong still. So having James Ellsworth kind of interfere somehow and cost Asuka the match, I think is a good way to go. So I'm looking forward to that myself.
I agree.
The men's Money in the Bank match. We have Kevin Owens, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Bobby Roode, The Miz, Rusev, Samoa Joe versus a New Day member. First of all, which New Day member?
I think it's going to be Kofi.
Oh, interesting. I've got Big E. I'm thinking Big E's getting in there. Now, doesn't matter because neither of them are going to win.
Nope.
This was hard, and I think you and I have had conversations about this to choose. There's two guys that really could do some real damage having that Money in the Bank briefcase, and I think we're going to agree that they're Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe.
But I also think Miz would be really interesting with it. I've been kind of come around on that in the last few days.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're going to go with Miz, but that would be a good surprise win, I think.
Here's what I've come to on this, Brian. It makes no sense at all for Rude, Owens, New Day member Rusev or Finn to carry the case. Joe doesn't really need it. Because he would be scary with it, but he doesn't really need it. Miz would be great with it, but I think Braun Strowman's going to get it. I think he calls his shot and says he wants Lesnar at SummerSlam, regardless of whether Roman's in that or not. I think Braun Strowman's getting this one done, and he's going to cash it in quick.
I am actually exactly thinking the same thing. Braun Strowman wins here and calls his shot. I think he wants that SummerSlam match, and I hope that's what they go with because I've heard they want to give Roman another shot at SummerSlam, which would be just god-awful. But here's the thing. I would love for it to be Samoa Joe because can you imagine someone like him taunting the champion with that briefcase all the time? It'd be awesome.
Same thing. He and Braun would be great at it, but again, I think he can just taunt somebody without having to have a briefcase. So
yeah, I agree. Yep. So we'll see. Women's Money in the Bank: Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, Natalya, Ember Moon, Naomi, and Lana. What do you got here? This one's hard for me. There's an obvious answer, but I don't know if they go that obvious.
Well, Charlotte is going away for a little surgery to do some stuff that she's been kind of putting off. Sasha, Ember, Naomi, I
thought she already did that.
Nope, hadn't had it done yet.
Interesting.
So Sasha, Ember, Naomi, Lana they care, but they're not really. That's not really making sense. So it leaves Natalya, Alexa, and Becky. All right, Natty has her own thing. I think we both talked about how she can get involved with Ronda and do some stuff. So that's out. Alexa would be fun with it, but she doesn't really need it. And the one thing I took away from SmackDown was Becky Lynch came back from doing her movie, Marine 9 or whatever the hell it is. And now they kind of buried her before, but now she looks good. And she went out on that show looking strong. And I think it's going to be somebody from SmackDown because I think the SmackDown women's title picture is more akin to having some shuffling and moving things around here and there than the Raw women's title.
Yeah.
I like Becky Lynch. I'm gonna take the last kicker here, man.
That's a great pick. I did not know Charlotte Flair was leaving this early. I actually picked her to win this match. You know who I want to see win? Lana. And you know why? I think they could use a storyline of everyone laughing that she's got that Money in the Bank.
Well, if they want to have fun, Rusev and Lana could have it, and Aiden English should just carry a couple of briefcases. But they're not going to do that. I don't care how many T-shirts the guy sells.
Exactly. All right, let's go to the main event here. I think should be the main event, and that's the Last Man Standing. AJ Shinsuke. We got about 40 seconds before we go off the air.
I'm telling you now, you're going to hate this. Double knockout. They stretch it out to SummerSlam somehow. AJ's too hot. AJ's too hot to take the belt off of right now, and they don't want Shinsuke to lose.
I know. That's exactly what I said was going to happen, but I picked a winner. I picked AJ Styles. I hope that's right, and they don't do what you just said, but I think they're going to do what you just said.
I think they're going to end the show with the women's match, by the way, too, the women's title match.
That would be fascinating. I picked the men's match, but hey, who knows? That's going to do it for us. We got 10 seconds here. Just follow us on Twitter at BrianThomas878, at Juicy Steen, at the J1976. We'll be back.